this newfound diplomacy really a turning point when it comes to human rights in one of the world's most repressive countries? Now, earlier, I spoke with Sokeel Park, Director of Research and Strategy at the nonprofit group Liberty in North Korea, and I asked him what he thought of the outcome of the summit.
I think that this clearly is a victory right now, or it's a benefit to Kim Jong-un. He wouldn't be doing it otherwise. But in the long term, this is a process, and hopefully it does lead to economic development and opening and normalization of North Korea as a country. I think that it can really only push the ball further down the road with that. And so the hope is that it's benefit to the North Korean people as well.
Yeah, and Trump, he did say he raised the issue of human rights when he sat down with Kim Jong-un, but the focus was still on denuclearization. Do you believe that, as a human rights activist, do you believe that is actually the right approach here? Because the risk of raising the issue of human rights too soon, too directly with Kim Jong-un could enrage him and derail any chance for opening, any chance for progress.
Well, I think that it's clear that Kim Jong-un wants to engage right now. He wants to deal with the international community. And that doesn't mean that we only have to engage with him on his preferred terms. It means that we can bring our terms to the table as well. And that can mean emphasizing human rights. I think that's not just the right thing to do morally. I think it's the right thing to do strategically as well. Because this isn't, at the end of the day, it's not just about nuclear weapons and missiles. It's about the nature of North Korea as a country. And in the long term, we need to see basically an opening and normalization of North Korea, resolution fundamentally of the state of North Korea in order to resolve all of the other issues, including security.
Yeah, and there's so many issues inside the country, and we need to be reminded of this, because as the world continues to take in these images of a North Korean leader smiling, shaking hands, sharing this historic moment of diplomacy with Donald Trump, remind us of the desperate human rights situation inside North Korea. I mean, this is a place of political gulags, of abductions, torture, executions, the list goes on.
Right. I mean, you know, it's 2018, but there's nowhere else on the planet like North Korea today. It is the most closed, repressive, and ideologically governed country in the world. The North Korean people don't have access to the internet, let alone international phone calls, or access to any culture or information that's not been basically created and curated by their own government. The most basic freedoms that we take for granted, even freedom of movement, freedom of speech, all of these things are denied them. And then in the long term, the bigger picture, the result of that as well is that the North Korean people are kept very artificially poor. I mean, South Korea has very different governance conditions, of course, and it's one of the biggest economies in the world. North Korea could have that same kind of economic potential, but the North Korean government contains that potential and represses the people.
All right, and right now, after the Singapore summit, you're a little bit hopeful. This is an opportunity for engagement and for North Korea to open up and to create more opportunities for the people inside the country. But as an activist who has worked very hard with many other groups over the years, providing outreach and support to many desperate people inside North Korea, does it in a way break your heart a bit, knowing that Donald Trump and his allies are at this moment okay with overlooking the gross human rights abuses of the North?
Yeah, I definitely think that a different approach could have been taken. I think that overall with this summit, it was oversold and underdelivered. There weren't actually that many significant concessions that were gotten out of the North Korean government. The US has put things on the table. So it's not a great start. You know, it's pretty much a copy and paste agreement from what we've seen before. But it's also kind of the starting gun for a marathon process. You know, this is a relationship. It's not just a one-off event. And so we're going to have to judge this maybe in 1 or 2 years.
So